GMing is a lot of work. Learning the rules, working with players, game prep, and the creative process can be a lot. But we all know several amazing GMs both in our personal life and those who are very popular in the RPG hobby space. Matt Mercer, Brennan Mulligan, Aabria Iyengar, to name a couple. These are GMs that have impacted a lot of new players, RPG enthusiasts, and just people in the RPG hobby. And I think that the trick Matt Mercer and other professional actual play GMs have is, well, their professional training, such as acting or being a comedian, or the fact that they have years of experience crafting stories. So, what exactly is that trick? Well, today I'll be discussing the quote-unquote trick or advantage famous GMs have and how you might be able to use it in your games. Okay, so you might be confused. What is their advantage that I'm talking about? Well, it's, like I said, acting and entertainment skills that you probably don't have. All of these GMs are incredibly talented and skilled. I mean, I tangentially take a lot of inspiration from TTRPG creators like Aabria Iyengar and Gabe Hicks, especially as black TTRPG creators. I mean, it isn't exactly easy being in a predominantly white hobby, after all. But aside the point, as a master of their craft, and people who do quite a lot of actual plays, we need to be realistic about what kind of advice we should take from GMs. So you probably guessed it, but this is sort of a catch-22. The trick isn't that you need to be good at acting. Rather, you should look to these GMs as inspiration for how you can improve, and well, not creating unexpected and uncalled for expectations of yourself. Because the hard truth is that actual play is not GMing or playing in real life. Actual plays are for audience members. They are for you to watch and to enjoy being entertained by, say, a D&D game and the dynamics around the table with all the other players and GM. Many of the most popular actual plays have grandiose sets with players who are actors, comedians, and folks in the entertainment industry. And to be clear, I don't watch a lot of actual plays, and I've actually never watched an episode of Critical Role, but I think it's pretty fair to say that you need time, training, years of experience, and most certainly some money to do what Matt Mercer and Brennan Mulligan do. Professional GMs are expert at improv, having loads of recognition and time to spend on extravagant sets alongside music and art to set the tone of their actual play. The players, subsequently, are either trained or been in the field for a while. And if you copy and paste that exact kind of format for a home game or an online game with strangers, you might burn yourself out or have confrontations with players who wanted something very specific. But I know there are going to be people in the audience who ask, Blurty, there are plenty of people who do actual plays that aren't actors or in the entertainment industry. And you're correct. In fact, there are plenty of actual plays that are nowhere near the level or scale of Critical Role. But remember, an actual play is TTRPGs being done for an audience to entertain. And that very fundamental is going to be a different set of priorities. So, first, I recommend you think about learning and managing your priorities for when you run and play a TTRPG. For instance, while I don't watch a lot of actual plays, the ones I do have different priorities alongside, well, there being different genres. Transplanter's Chaos Protocol is not the same genre and priority, especially if their audience, versus, say, the Bookshops of Arkham. Those are very different games with very different audiences, so their priorities will be different. Likewise, think about your game's priorities. What do you want to experience, see, and do in your campaign or one-shot? I would suspect that for people who produce an actual play, one of their priorities is maintaining and growing their audience. And that means looking at the ways they produce their content for their needs. Likewise, it makes sense that you should do something similar, but you need to be careful. It might not work out the same way it is in an actual play, and in fact, it probably won't. If you are trying to copy actual plays into your personal game without considering your own specific priorities at the table, you're going to be disappointed very quickly because you don't have the same amount of resources like an actual play might, or as they might have with their audience. I prioritize narrative-driven games that are lighthearted. Plus, there's a focus on character drama. I also prioritize safety at my tables and making sure that everyone's having a fun time. So that includes using safety tools and continuously checking in on the players. So, what your priorities are will depend on your game and the folks at your table. And the other important trick is to take inspiration. All game masters and players take inspiration from elsewhere. Our GMing and playing styles do not come from nowhere. Maybe you pull from an amazing actor, a fictional character, your family, or from books and TV shows you really enjoyed. Use that inspiration and incorporate it into your GMing. Be tacky, be goofy, and be open to making mistakes. Tell your players where and who you pull from. GMing should be a fun experience where everyone together crafts a wonky, awesome, or horrifying story together. However, if you are not realistic about your skills and expectations, you're going to crash. I mean, if you compare yourself to actors and people who have a career in acting, then it's gonna suck because you're holding yourself to unrealistic expectations that you cannot manage and will fall through the roof. And for players, it's important not to set your GM on the highest pedestal in the world. GMs are humans. They are not infallible and they will make mistakes on rulings and sometimes do silly stuff. GMs can disappoint and certainly not always be the best. But to be the best player and to be the best GM is to figure that out and discuss your expectations as well as what you want for the game and what is your experience with TTRPGs. By doing this, you can avoid any of the nitty-gritty of fighting at your table about why I didn't get this or why I didn't get that. It really sucks and you're probably not going to play games with people who you fought for anyway. The trick is in the details. Don't be harsh on yourself. GMing is a hobby that requires a lot of different skills and no one is perfect. Not even the famous GMs. You're going to bring different skills, assets, and experience to the table that no one else can. But rather than comparing yourself and or holding yourself to the highest standards that you see, be realistic and think about how you can bring yourself into the table as a GM. Set your priorities on what you want in the game as well, so that no one feels left out at the table and that no one feels like they are caught off guard when you present them with information or an experience that they should have signed up for. And remember, this is about having fun. If you're not having fun, then maybe it's best to take a break and consider what is bothering you. Maybe it might be a matter of inclusivity that is bothering you about your next game. Well, fortunately, I have a video about LGBT+Q inclusion over here that help you improve your game and support the gay agenda. As always, I'm your average everyday queer host, Blurred Disposition. Be all awesome day. And as always, feel free to check out my Patreon, Coffee, and join my new YouTube membership if you got the money or time. Ciao, y'all.